Hello everyone. This is an introductory session on econometrics. Here we'll deal with what econometrics is and what is the methodology used in econometric analysis. So what is econometrics? The term econometrics literally means economic measurement, and the term was coined by the Norwegian economist Ragnar Frisch. So to put it in simple words, econometrics is the amalgamation of economic theory, mathematics, and statistics. Now let us quickly go through some of the formal definitions of econometrics. It may be defined as the quantitative analysis of economic phenomena, or it is concerned with the empirical determination of economic laws, or econometrics is the social science in which tools of economic theory, mathematics, and statistics are applied to the analysis of economic phenomena. Now moving on to the methodology of econometrics. So how do econometricians analyze an economic problem? There are several schools of thought on econometric methodology. However, we'll be focusing on one school, which is the classical econometric methodology or the traditional econometric methodology. This is mainly because it is the classical or the traditional methodology that still dominates the empirical research in economics and other social sciences. So broadly speaking, the traditional econometric methodology proceeds along the following lines. First, we start with the statement of theory or hypothesis. Then we move on to the specification of a mathematical model. Then we formulate a statistic or econometric model. Then we obtain data, and using this data, we go for the estimation of parameters. And once we have the estimates, we do a hypothesis testing. And if we accept the hypothesis, or if the hypothesis is in conformation with the economic theory under consideration, we can use that model for forecasting or prediction. And finally, we can use the model for control or policy purposes. Now let us discuss each of these steps in detail. So the first step is statement of theory or hypothesis. Let us take the example of the Keynesian consumption theory, which is known as the absolute income hypothesis. And this hypothesis is based on the psychological law of consumption. So what is the absolute income theory? Or what is the absolute income hypothesis? According to Keynes, consumption expenditure is dependent on the absolute level of the current disposable income. And the psychological law states that the marginal propensity to consume, that is B, is always greater than 0 but less than 1. So we have a theory and a hypothesis in place. Now we formulate a mathematical model. Here we have written it as y is equal to beta 1 plus beta 2x. Y is the dependent variable. In our case, this is consumption expenditure. X is the independent variable or the explanatory variable. Beta 1, beta 2 are the parameters, or to be specific, beta 1 is the intercept coefficient and beta 2 is the slope coefficient, which is nothing but the MPC. Now we move on to the specification of a statistical or econometric model. Why this is important is because in the mathematical model, we assume that there is an exact or deterministic relationship between consumption expenditure and income. But this is not the case, because in economics, relationships among economic variables are generally inexact or non-deterministic. So in order to account for this non-deterministic component or non-deterministic relationship, we add a term which is known as the error term or the stochastic disturbance term. Here it is represented using the symbol mu. So the error or the disturbance term is a random variable which has well-defined probabilistic properties. And this mu, this error term, represents all factors which affect consumption expenditure but are not taken into account explicitly. So the effect of all factors other than income is being summarized in the error or the disturbance term. Now we have the econometric model in place. Next, we need to obtain data in order to find the estimates of beta 1 and beta 2. For that, we need data on consumption expenditure and income. So once we have the data, we can do the estimation, and the statistical technique used for estimation is regression analysis. through which we can get the numerical values of beta 1 and beta 2, and they are known as the estimates. So once we have the estimates, we can go on for hypothesis testing. What is hypothesis testing? It is confirmation or refutation of economic theories based on sample evidence. Suppose we have got the estimate of beta 2 as 0.63. What was our hypothesis? That the marginal propensity to consume is greater than 0 but less than 1. So 0.63 is less than 1, greater than 0. So this is in confirmation with economic theory, and this result could be accepted. So once the hypothesis is in confirmation with the economic theory, we can use the model for forecasting or prediction. Here what we do is we predict the future values of the dependent variable for the known or expected future values of the explanatory variable. And finally, this model can be used for control or policy purposes, in the sense that the independent variable becomes the control variable and the dependent variable becomes the target variable. So in our case, the target variable is consumption expenditure and the control variable is income, the level of disposable income in the economy. So what the government can do is, through an appropriate policy mix, through an appropriate monetary and fiscal policy mix, the government can manipulate the level of income in the economy in order to attain a desired level of consumption expenditure. So these 8 steps summarize the anatomy of econometric methodology. Thank you.